Scorpio, let me ask you something sacred, something that doesn't belong to small talk or ordinary days. What if the moment you've been whispering about in the dark, the one you didn't even want to hope for too loudly, is closer than you think, and it arrives on December 28th? Not like a loud parade, but like a quiet, unmistakable "I can't believe this" rising in your chest before your mind. Not because the universe is trying to impress you, but because it's trying to return you to yourself. Because the truth is, your life has been shifting for a while. It just hasn't had a name yet. You've felt it in those strange pauses after a hard season, where the world finally stops pushing and you realize you're still standing. You've felt it in the way your intuition has been tapping harder on the inside of your ribs, like a patient messenger saying, "Pay attention. Something is aligning." And Scorpio, you didn't land here by accident. People call it an algorithm, but you and I both know there are days when the timing is too exact to be random. There are moments when the universe doesn't shout, it arranges. It places one sentence in your path, one video, one voice, one reminder, at the exact frequency your soul can hear. December 28th carries a particular kind of energy for you, not because it's magically superior to other dates, but because it sits in the doorway between endings and beginnings. It's after the noise, after the build-up, after the emotional weather. It's the day when many people exhale and think the story is over. But for you, Scorpio, the story often begins in the after. You're the sign that understands what most people avoid, the hidden layer, the quiet motive, the truth beneath the polite surface. You know that transformation rarely comes dressed as a miracle. It comes dressed as a message you almost ignore, a call you almost don't answer, an opportunity that looks ordinary until it touches your life and rearranges it like furniture in a room you didn't realize you'd outgrown. And that's why I'm speaking to you in this tone, soft, serious, and clear, because this is not about hyping you up with empty promises. This is about preparing you to notice what you would normally dismiss. Here is what I feel around you, Scorpio, a financial shift that is not just about money. Because money, when it arrives at the right time, is never only money. Itegat is breat. It's options. It's the ability to say no without fear. It's the ability to rest without guilt. It's the ability to choose your life instead of just surviving inside it. And the reason it hits you emotionally, why you can't believe it, will be because it arrives after you've already made peace with not receiving it. That's how the universe works with Scorpios sometimes. It waits until you stop begging, until you stop performing hope, until you stop trying to prove you deserve relief. Then it slides the key under the door and watches you realize your hands were always meant to hold more than struggle. You've been carrying something heavy that you rarely admit out loud. Not just bills or responsibilities, but a deeper pressure, the feeling that you must stay in control because if you loosen your grip, everything might fall apart. You've been the strong one, the silent one, the one who figures it out. And that strength has been noble. But it's also been lonely. Because when you become the person who never breaks, people stop checking if you're okay. When you become the person who always survives, the world forgets you're still human. And Scorpio, I want you to hear this with tenderness. The universe has not confused your silence for "I'm fine." It has recorded every time you kept going anyway. Every time you smiled for someone else. Every time you showed up when your spirit wanted to hide. Every time you gave love while your own heart was thirsty. Those moments were not wasted. They were seed planting. And seeds don't look like forests at first. They look like dirt and patience. They look like waiting while nothing seems to change. But something has been changing. December 28th is not a magical switch. It's more like a pressure release. It's a moment where something that's been building finally finds an opening. And it may begin in a way that almost irritates you because it's so simple. A text that says, "Can we talk?" A friend who mentions an opportunity casually. A client who returns unexpectedly. A forgotten refund. A delayed payment that finally clears. A new idea that lands in your mind with such calm certainty that you realize it didn't come from anxiety, it came from alignment. Scorpio, the reason it starts this way is because your soul is learning a new language, receiving without chaos. Receiving without proving. Receiving without having to crash first. And if you've been conditioned to only expect blessings after suffering, this new pattern will feel unbelievable. That va sud-ouest accurate. Because you will be tempted to ask, what's the catch? And I need you to practice a new question. What if there is no catch? What if this is simply your season to be met? There's another layer here that matters, and it's the part most people won't tell you because it's not flashy. Your money shift is linked to your self-respect? Not in a motivational poster way. In a réel way. In the way you've been quietly refusing things that drain you. In the way you've been learning to say no without writing an apology essay. In the way you've been protecting your peace even when someone calls you distant. Scorpio, you are not distant. You are discerning. You are not cold. You are careful with your fire. And when you stop giving your life force away to people who treat it like a free sample, your energy becomes concentrated. Magnetic. And that magnetism doesn't only attract romance or attention, it attracts resources. It attracts timing. It attracts the right people who pay you what you're worth. It attracts the opportunities that match your depth, not your desperation. So let's talk about what this could look like in practical terms. Because spiritual people sometimes float so high they forget they still have feet. This money moment may show up as an offer, en invitation, a contract, a new client, a side income stream, a job lead, a collaboration, or a sudden idea you can monetize quickly because you already have the skill, you just haven't valued it properly. Your ability to read people, to understand what's unspoken, to sense what's missing, to hold intense, emotional space, those are not just personality traits. Those are high-level human skills. In the real world, they become coaching, counseling, content creation, leadership, negotiation, strategy, design, healing work, storytelling, brand building, intuitive guidance, crisis management, customer insight, community building. Scorpio, you've been sitting on a treasure chest and calling it just how I am. December 28th is a moment where you recognize your inner gold as actual currency. And I want to be very clear, the universe does not reward you for suffering. It responds to resonance. It responds to the version of you that finally believes you're allowed to have a life that feels good. Some of you have been carrying a subconscious rule that says, if life is easy, I'm doing something wrong. Or, if I receive, someone else will lose. Or, if I get ahead, I'll be punished. These are old survival spells. They once protected you. They helped you stay small enough to avoid envy, avoid rejection, avoid disappointment. But now, those spells are suffocating your expansion. And the shift that's approaching is not only financial, it's psychological. It's the breaking of that old agreement. The ending of the inner contract that says you must struggle to be worthy. If you want a sign to watch for, it's this: calm clarity. Not manic excitement. Not desperate urgency. When something aligned approaches, you may feel emotional, even tearful, but beneath it is a strange peace. Like your nervous system recognizes safety, even if your mind doesn't understand it yet. Another sign is this: you stop chasing. You stop stalking outcomes. You stop trying to control how it arrives. You do your part. You show up. You take the step. You send the message. You post the content. You apply. You pitch. You create, but you don't beg the universe to love you back. You move like someone who is already chosen. And when you move like that, things meet you faster. Because reality often mirrors self-concept. Now, Scorpio, there's something else around December 28th that feels important, and it's about people. Because money shifts often come with a social shift. Someone notices you. Someone talks about you. Someone recommends you. Someone who used to overlook you suddenly treats you differently. And this is where your shadow might try to interfere. Your inner neighbor, the part that whispers, "Don't trust it. They'll take it away." Stay guarded. Listen, being guarded has kept you alive. But being guarded cannot build your next life. You don't need to become naive. You just need to become open in the right places. You need to become brave enough to receive. Brave enough to be seen. Brave enough to let the old version of you who survived by expecting disappointment step back and rest. Here's a gentle truth: your blessing may arrive through an ordinary human being. Not an angel with wings. Not a dramatic cosmic event. À personne. À manager. À client. À friand. À stranger. Someone who says one sentence that changes your trajectory. And you might want to discount it because you expect miracles to come with thunder. But Scorpio, some miracles come like whispers because you are finally quiet enough to hear them. That's why December 28th is powerful. It sits in a time where the world is slower, softer, less noisy. The veil between your inner world and outer world feels thinner. You can sense what's real. You can sense what's meant. If I could give you a ritual that actually matters without turning this into superstition, it would be this: on the night of December 27th, or the morning of December 28th, do one small act that signals readiness. Clean your wallet. Clear a space on your desk. Update your payment method. Write down one offer you're willing to say yes to, and one boundary you're no longer willing to break. Not because the universe needs theatrics, but because your subconscious needs evidence. Scorpio, your subconscious listens to action more than words. When you move like someone who expects goodness, your inner world reorganizes to match that expectation. And then you start noticing opportunities you would have ignored. And when the money moment arrives, because it may arrive in a sequence, not a single hit, you want you to do something very Scorpio. Pause. Don't announce it to everyone. Don't panic spend. Don't sabotage it by telling yourself it's a fluke. Situitit. Let your nervous system learn a new feeling, stability. Let your body learn what it's like to receive without bracing for loss. That is the deeper miracle. The money is only the surface. The real transformation is you becoming the kind of person who can hold abundance without fear. You may notice that your relationships change around this time too. People who benefit from your scarcity, yes, that's a real thing, may act strange when you step into your power. Some will cheer. Some will test you. Some will suddenly need you more. Some will try to guilt you back into the old version of you that overgives. Scorpio, protect your light. Protect your energy. Not from a place of paranoia, but from a place of devotion. You are building a new life. And builders don't apologize for using boundaries as bricks. Let's talk about the words "I can't believe this" because I keep returning to them. That phrase often comes when reality finally matches what you secretly wanted but felt too guilty to claim. When you realize you're allowed to have help. Allowed to have ease. Allowed to have a break. Allowed to have overflow. And if tears come, let them. Tears are not weakness. They're release. They're the body's way of washing off old timelines. Scorpio, you've been through enough. You don't need to prove your strength anymore. You've already proven it. Now, you get to practice something more radical, softness. As this message continues, I want to weave in a quiet reminder, like a candle placed near the end of a long hallway. This is a narrative. A spiritual mirror, a reflection of potential timelines and emotional truths. Not a contract signed by fate or a guarantee of exact outcomes. And you are always the one with the final authority over what you believe, what you choose, and what you do next. Take what feels like medicine, release what doesn't, and if you ever feel overwhelmed, ground yourself in simple steps and practical support, because real spiritual power never asks you to abandon reality, it teaches you to meet reality with a steadier heart. Now, Scorpio, I want you to imagine this. It's December 28th, and you get a message. It could be one line. We chose you. Are you available? Can you send your rates? Can you start next week? Your payment is processing. We need your help. You read it once. Twice. And your mind does that strange thing where it doesn't believe good news at first. Then your chest warms. Then your body reacts before your logic can explain it. That is the moment. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's a doorway. And next, one thing you response. Will you shrink? Will you delay? Will you talk yourself out of it? Or will you breathe, stand tall, and say, yes, I'm ready. If you want to anchor this energy, if you want to turn this from a passing feeling into a lived direction, write something simple for yourself. I receive with peace. Not because words are magic, but because words train attention. And attention is the real currency. Attention decides what you notice. Attention decides what you nurture. Attention decides what becomes your life. Scorpio, your attention has been trapped in survival for too long. December 28 offers you a new focus, building. So, here's what I want you to do between now and then. Watch for small confirmations. The universe rarely drops a piano from the sky. It sends feathers first. It sends patterns. It sends repeating themes. It sends you the same message through 3 different people. It sends you a chance to choose yourself. And every time you choose yourself, You step closer to the moment you can't believe. You are not late. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You are in a transition phase. And transitions feel like uncertainty. Because you are leaving a world you understand and entering one you haven't fully mapped. But Scorpio, you were built for the unknown. You were built for transformation. You were built to alchemize pain into power, chaos into clarity, endings into beginnings. And when your money moment arrives, don't treat it like luck. Treat it like evidence. Evidence that your life can change. Evidence that your gifts have value. Evidence that you can be met. If this ray, al dit close not bespreche, with devotion. Share it with another Scorpio who has been feeling invisible. And if you want to seal this message gently, comment, I am ready to receive with peace. Not as a superstition, but as a declaration of identity. Because the biggest shift isn't in your bank account. It's in your belief about what you're allowed to have. On Scorpio, you're allowed. You always were.